All right, I'm Nick, out in the backyard. Jamie's behind the camera. We're gonna show you how to install these seat spacers today. I'm gonna show you a few different things. They serve a few different purposes. They aren't for everybody, okay? And there's a few things to consider if you're gonna install them on your kayak. And storage is one. So let's get started with the installation process. Out of this bag, it's gonna come with 2 spacers and 2 screws, okay? The first thing that we're gonna do is take our snips and we're gonna cut this line. This is the line that holds these on there, left and right, but if you've ever done this before, you know that sometimes these things fall off like that. If it wasn't for that line, they would get lost real easy, but we don't need that anymore because of that screw. Just gonna cut that off, stick that down in there, pull that out of there. We'll do that to both sides real quick. You don't need that anymore, so that'll just go in the garbage later. Now, we have the drill out. I'm gonna use a drill. You can use a screwdriver if you want. The goal is to screw this right through here, okay? Now this is gonna end up being on the outside. So, real quick. Now you don't need to screw that in there and make that real tight. You don't want to do that, okay? Because you can just keep drilling and it'll actually pull the head of that bolt or screw into there. You don't want to do that. Just till it's flat and you're done. Now, there's 2 pieces. There's 2 of these guys. We want them to be like, oh, did I do wrong? Oh, upside down. There you go. You want these holes to be on the inside. So that'll go like that. This one will go like this. If you do this part wrong, it's really not that big of a deal, okay? We're gonna put this on there through that hole, and then you just screw this down. One thing you may notice, that part kind of came out a little bit there. Not a big deal. That's why you have the screwdriver. And we just didn't want to get it too tight to start. And then you'll just line this up. It'll sit just like that. And you can get it till it's perfect. The screwdriver will make adjusting it easy. That's what we're looking for. Very easy on that side. Set that there for now. We'll grab the other one and we'll do the same thing. So our goal is just to, oops, we're backwards. Our goal is to replicate the same process. It'll look just like this, and this set screw will be on the top for both of them. Same thing, so come here, we're gonna spin this into place. You don't have to go too tight, okay? You should just come up there, sit in place nice and smooth like that. So we have those 2 on there. So now I told you guys, there's a bunch of different functions of these. One function is not for everyone. You can install a split ring. Now we're not going to send these out with these, but if you want to, there's a little hole right here. You can take this out of here, and we'll change up some of this stuff in the future. This is version 1. I'm sure version 2 will be a little bit different. Can't get out of there. It's the best package split ring ever. Dang, it really is in there really good. All right, so this is a 1-inch split ring. Take your split ring pliers, and you can just put that in place through that hole and then spin it. Oh, I missed. And then you can spin this around. And then that way, once you get this set in there, which I'm gonna take it back off here in a second, okay? Once you get this set in there, you can put anything you want to put on there. You can put your leashes on there, do what you got to do. It'll sit right there. You can attach anything. And I've already shown this into a video. The goal here is you want to use these light wire ones. That way, if you have to yank on your whatever you have tethered, where it's fish grips or something like that, you can just yank it off there and it won't break this plastic piece. We can go into some more of those details later on. But for right now, we're just going to install these. We're going to slide these in place like you normally would, and then set them here. Now you'll be able to slide it back on one thing to consider, depending on how you store your kayak, this is a big deal. This space here is going to be different on everyone's kayak, okay? Because if you watch the kayak itself, like right here, the kayaks bend. So if you store your kayak in the top of your ceiling using a cradle system, there's a ton of pressure on your kayak, and instead of being like this, it's going to do that, which actually changes the spacing. And this is why Old Town had to design this system so it does that, because not everyone's kayak is as wide. We've had various things. We've learned a lot. We've shipped out a lot of parts. We have a lot of kayaks, right? When we measure the differences in these kayaks, they're all different just based off of sitting on the trailer or sitting flat, or if you do store yours with a cradle system at the top of your garage, it's going to be considerably skinny. If you run into an issue like that, send me an email or put your kayak outside in the sun. It's amazing how much the plastic will change shape just based off of sun, okay? Expansion and contraction. Once you have this done, you are pretty much good to go if you don't remove your seat. Now, I have to go get an Allen wrench because I forgot it. I'm going to show you something else. So we'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I had to go get the 1/8 inch hex head. You don't have to have the bit driver. You can just use an Allen key. Now, this is for the set screws. Talked about this before. This thing has a bunch of different functions. It'll work differently for everybody. You have the ability to use it as a seat spacer. You have the ability to use it as a place to tether your split ring to attach your pliers. Then you have the ability to use it as a way of getting rid of that black rope that holds these things in place. So how you do that is, first you're going to get everything set where you want it, okay? Might be easy to sit in the kayak. An extra tip is this. I see a lot of guys talk about, man, my seat's hard to slide back and forth. If you take your screwdriver and you look right here, you can adjust and loosen these 3 screws, and that will actually give you a little bit of back and forth play. So if you ever realize that your seat is hard to move, it could be because these are tight and it's actually crooked. So take the time, loosen those 3, slide the seat back and forth like this. That way you know everything functions properly. Of course, it's a lot easier to do that when you're sitting in a chair, okay? Get everything lined up how you want it, wherever you sit. Then you're gonna take this guy and you're gonna tighten these down. Now, one thing you'll notice is you don't have to go super tight. It'll hold it in place. If you go too tight, it's gonna be hard to lift the seat up. The seat won't swivel properly, and that's part of the design. Okay, see how it won't go up now all the way? The goal is to just adjust this slowly, and you might not be able to hear it. Hold on a second, you'll be able to hear it maybe. It's actually gonna create a groove in there, right? It's gonna create a little tiny groove in this metal, and that will stop your seat from moving left and right. And then it will allow you to flip it up with no issues. That way, once you remove these, this will never fall off, okay? So we're slowly just gonna adjust it until we get a little groove in there. This is the same way like the spacing on some of the wheel kits works. Just gonna keep working it until whatever, you'll hear it grind. You kind of hear it like, we'll call it grinding, right? It's just creating a little groove. That's what we want. And then you'll be able to just tighten it down a little bit more at a time. Your seat will still be able to pop up and go back down. And the more effort you put in there, the smoother it'll be. Then once you take this off, if you are a person who takes this off, you can get the adjustment right. They're not gonna fall off. And that's a big thing for people who transport their kayak and they pull their seat off. That was a big goal. And I know we delayed the release of these things a bunch of times. I know we talked about it over and over and over again. It is multifunctional, okay? And that was the goal. If you don't remove your seat, you don't need to tighten that set screw. You don't need the hex head, okay? If you want to tether your fish grips or your pliers or whatever, you can install a split ring. That's not for everybody either. Like, I personally am not gonna attach a split ring to that because I don't like it. And then the goal was, if you use a split ring, if you have to yank it, say you flip your kayak over and your pliers are wrapped around your leg, I don't like things being tethered to the kayak because now you're just stuck to the kayak. If you use the right split ring, these little 1-inch ones, if you pull on your rope, it'll actually break the split ring, won't break the plastic, and you won't be tangled in your kayak, which is a big deal to me. If you are the person who removes your seat for transport, that set screw will hold it in place. You don't ever have to worry about it falling off again, and you are good to go. And then you just get to where you're gonna go fishing, line everything back up how you want it, and then you just put it back in place, and you are good to go. They are on the website for $12. This is version 1. I expect a few hiccups here and there. If you store your kayak with any kind of support around it, you are making the kayak skinnier. You may have a headache, okay? And it's not a big deal. Put it outside in the sun. The problem will resolve itself. If not, you have a problem, I will make sure it gets squared away and taken care of. If you have any questions, leave a comment below or shoot me an email at nick@navarrekayakfishing.com.